Hi everybody, Nancy here. Today I'm going to show you how to use the outside cover to create the inside of your journal. Now I'm going to show you using the one that I created in the last video, but I believe this will work with any cover. I haven't found one it doesn't work with. But you know, you've just created something from scratch and you want the inside of the book to look like it's the actual inside of the book that you created, the cover. All right, and to do that, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this particular page because all the elements are there. I just want to pull them apart for you. So I'm just going to duplicate this particular page. All right, now I'm going to delete everything that's not that cover. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, okay. So this is the cover that we created yesterday. Well, it was yesterday for me. I don't know when you're watching this. But if you look at this particular journal that I'm working in, this is my, if I go here, my video journal, which is the gold book on the third book from the left. So if I go back to that videos, the regular pages look like this. Okay, that's what it would look like. But I changed it so that I would have a desktop for my book. Now see, I could take this the way it is and make this my first page, and that's what will show up on, you know, my documents list when you go back out. You know, I would do this and maybe add some pictures or something around the desk. But now I want to create the inside of the same book. All right. Oh, and the way I got my desktop, I had already created a paper template. If I go down to the gear, see, I've got a paper template that is this wooden boards. Looks kind of like a picnic table to me. In my mind, I do my workout on a picnic table. But see, I also have another one that is the brown wood. I just thought that this particular cover kind of disappears on that brown. So anyway, I'm not real sure how these are sorted. I don't know how to sort it. So I'm constantly looking for what I want to use. I need to delete a bunch of this junk, but in the meantime, I'm having to scroll looking for it. But anyway, pretend that I found this white cover, and I'm going to go back and use this template. That's the template for my page, and do done. And then I have my book cover on top of it. Now all I'm going to do is use the duplicate. Now I've changed my selection toolbar slightly. I had it in alphabetical order, but then I realized, you know, there's just some things I do more frequently than others, and I'd rather them be at the top so I can see them. Let them be first. So the first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this book cover, and so that would be select and then duplicate. All right, now I've got a copy of it. Now I have to go to this here. I have to go to the menu because I did not put what I'm going to show you here. I don't have everything that's on this list on my toolbar, and I so rarely use this function. It's right here under Transform, the Flip H About Page Center. I don't use that often, so it's not on my toolbar, but I do want to use it today. So all I have to do is click up. I'm clicking on that, and see that just created that copy. And I think it's the distance from the center of the page. See, that's the center. Now, if I wanted to, what it did was make a copy. I had a copy, and then I took that duplicate and it flipped it so that it's a perfect You know, it's perfect. Now, if it depends on what kind of spine you're going to use as to whether or not you want to butt these things next to each other. The one I'm going to use, I don't need for those to butt. They need to be close, but they don't need to be, you know, next to each other. That gap is okay. So the next thing you do is just create a page with a shape, all right, and it's got a drop shadow. The one my default has the drop shadow, so it gives it some depth, but I need to fill it with white or whatever color you want your paper to be. You could do a cream paper or you know, whatever you want. So now I go to fill, turn on add. See, like you could have that color, have that color paper. I think I'm gonna use not the stark white. I probably would like better to use like a tan. I think I'm gonna use this color. Well, that's a little too, it's still too dark, so I'm going to go to the, down at the bottom under palettes, I'm going to go to the RGB, no, HSV, that one. And I'm just going to take that inside circle and move it a little closer to the white. It'll still have some color, but it won't be stark white. That'll be good enough. Okay. Totally unnecessary. But another thing I also want to do is round the corners. Just because my notebook has rounded corners, I just like it better if I keep hitting symmetrical, and that's not, I just want to take the corner radius and ooch it over just a tad. I don't need it to be, you know, real hard rounded corners, just a little bit. And I do want it on all four corners, so I'm done there. And now all I need to do is put in a center. Now, I really do recommend that you go ahead and invest in, you know, spirals that you get from Etsy, and you can search for that. There's thousands of them out there, and I've got them all. I feel like I've got so many. So I'm not going to try to make it, you know, again, we could use the staple spiral that I showed you how to create in a different video, or we could use a staple, or we could use stitches, and I'll show you that in a second. But personally, I'm just going to go with what I already have. So I'm just going to go to my symbols, and I had already searched for this, and I'm just going to pick out one of these. See, I've got tons of them, spirals. I'll just use this one and tap on it, and it'll automatically blow up because, you know, I've got my size to shape set. Now I'm going to have to pull it to the ends so that it does cover up the gap. But see how it doesn't matter that I had the gap between the two books. So basically that's it. I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. But to show you guys what I'm talking about with, let's say, using stitches, because this is actually what I came up with the way to create stitches by using this particular technique. Now here is where I would need to pull the book in slightly. Now they're touching, and maybe I'll pull it up just a little bit. The bottom looks fine. The top, I don't know, there's a fade to it, but that'll be all right. So let me make this a little bit smaller now. All right, so now I want to add stitches, but before I do that, I'm going to duplicate that page by using my duplicate from my select menu up at the top. And this time, instead of it being solid, I want it to blend. So I'm going to get the menu for the shape. Come on. And I'm going to fill, and I'm going to use gradient. And I want to use, let's see, this is where I'm going to be kind of sorry I didn't use the white, because I'm not real sure. Let's see. Go back. I think I'm going to use that color. But the middle one I want to make black. Okay. And then the next one I want to make that tan again. And then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to change where that dark is. I'm going to move it to the middle. See, I'm messing with the middle thing now, sliding bar. And then I'm going to move the top one close to the middle, and move the right one, or the bottom one, sorry, closer to the middle. And I'm giving it just a tad of a lift so that it looks kind of like the book is lifted just ever so slightly. All I'm doing is taking the center, moving the top and bottom a little bit away from the center. And it's so dark right now, so I need to turn down the opacity. I'm moving that bar up at the top. Now see, I gave it so that now it looks a little bit like there's a lift in the top of on the top page of the book. I just love Zoom Notes. All right, and you can play around with it. I personally kind of like the page on the left to be closer to the middle than the one on the right, so it has less of a lift. Okay, so that's done. And do that. Now, I don't know if you noticed if I select it, see where the red dots are? That's center. So I didn't get anywhere near center. So I need to do it again, do it better. You can't tell on these bars right now where is center. But you can, once you start to move it, you can see it better. Now I need to move the one on the right. Now I'm getting closer. The center one is the one that's important. Ooh. And it's not exactly a smooth, golly. That's pretty close. And it's important because that's where I'm going to want the page to turn, so I want it to be in the center. I'm just barely touching. Okay, that's it. And then I'm going to move the top one again. You play with it. And move the bottom one over slightly more than the one on the top. Ooh, that's way more. Again, you just play with it until you get it to where you want it to be, but you definitely want it to be in the center. I'm just barely touching the one on the bottom there. Okay, it moved, but it moved too much. Okay. I just don't like that bump on the left side, so I'm taking that down all the way and then moving the one on there. I'm going to leave that alone and maybe take the opacity down a little bit more. But I have to remember that, when you tap off of it and stop doing it, it kind of, the opacity changes slightly. So now that's close enough. And I just touched on my screen and added a whole new shape. All you have to do is touch it. Okay, so now I've got a center. At this point, I could either use a staple that I got for free from the digital scrapbook, or I can do the stitching that I showed you guys yesterday, or the last time I created a video. And I think I'll do that. Let's see, if I go, there's several ways to draw a line, and I don't personally recommend using the straight line thing, because it's really made for a different purpose. The straight line, which is this right here, where is it? Straight line. It looks like an arrow. Yeah, it's under drawing tools. That is kind of used for flow charts and such. It uses the line to connect squares. Like if you were doing an organizational chart or something, it'll jump right to that shape. It's a little harder to control, so I tend to stay away from it. I'll just draw a line. So I'm going to use the draft pen, and I can use the ruler, but I just want to show you this. If I drop, whoops, see, I drew that. Now, I didn't realize that I already had the dashes, and I don't want those. So I'm going to undo that and change it to black. Got to get a different palette, so I click here, go back to palette, find one that's got a black in it, and I want to use the black. So now I go back, and I'm going to change that pen to not be dashed, turn off dashed. Okay, now I'm just going to draw a line. I tapped on it and I selected it, sorry. Alright, I'm just drawing a line. And see how not straight that is? That's okay, because watch what I can do. If I select it, select the line, and I just pull it in. No, I just created a copy. If I take that, okay. I'm gonna scream. Let's see. I want to use that, but I'll tell you why I'm having this trouble. I'm trying to grab that center red square and drag it there like that, because see, it straightens that line up. That's what I was trying to do. And see, that works. But a lot of times the way I kept getting these two little extra bits was that my pen was moving over to the center square, and it was making duplicates. So now I'm going to just drag it out. The line's still not perfect, but that's okay. If I were stitching this on my sewing machine, which I literally do, oops, I have journals that I have created on my sewing machine, and I never draw it straight. But see, now I'm about to, there, I did it. I'm hesitating here because you see how it's not centered. But it's because I've got it jumping to I've got the selection thing here, up here on the tools. I've got the selection guidelines. I'm going to turn that off because the center is no longer centered on the page. It's centered to my book. All right, so there, that's centered. Okay, so now I've got my black line running down the middle of the book. If I select it and I duplicate it using my selection toolbar, and so now the top one is black, but my default for the pen right now is a dashed white. You can't see that. I'm going to change it just for kicks so you can see it better to that pink. But it's not dashed yet, so I'm going to go to the menu and underneath style, use apply style to selected. So because the style is white, now my stitches are white, and it looks like I've sewn the book pages together. I really do that. It's a cool look. But I will say that see how I remember I told you that when you tap off of the opacity goes down, and it looks like I've lost a lot of my dip. So let me see if I can't go back there and take it up some. Go to maybe 2. Make it a little, yeah, I think I'm going to leave that like that now. That's a little better. Okay, so now you've just created a book using your cover that you created yesterday if you did it. And I have stitched the pages on the inside of the book. But that's it. That's all. Y'all have a great day. I'll do a different video to show you now what. Okay, but I'll do that later. Y'all have a great one here. Bye.